Hey Taurus sisters, here's another video for my preparedness playlist. Let's talk about money. And I'm not talking about investing it or anything like that. I've had people tell me, and me too, like, how do you do all this prepping? I mean, you can watch the stuff I've been saying and the stuff, more knowledgeable preppers on YouTube say, and you look at lots and lots of money. That's not feasible for everyone. I know, I understand that. So you have to plan. So if the Father is putting this on you the way he's putting it on me, that we need to take some steps to protect our family. That's what this is about. It's about protecting our family and ourselves as much as we are able. And finances limit our ability, right? Now, our Father, there's no limits for him. He knows no limits. Finances are easy for him. And I have seen provision even in my own life since I started down this path. When the thing that's going around first came about, it was a very weird time. But the Father actually I work for a local hospital, they gave me more work. Right now I work just part-time, but for a few weeks they gave me more work than usual. And it was such a blessing because at that same time, I was thinking about buying some preps. So how cool is that? And then now that I kind of have what I think I want, my hours are back to normal. So pray and ask the Father, God Almighty, who knows no limits, to miraculously provide, and then give him the glory when he does. But in the meantime, when you look at your own finances, make a plan. Budget what you think you can spend. And if you're serious about this, if you look down, and I'm not trying to be dramatic, but maybe we should be dramatic. If you look into the future of what you think might happen, and you see your kids hungry, does that change your willingness to be uncomfortable now? And so we'll talk about some ideas. Because to sometimes switch where we spend our money, because that's really what this is about, changing where we're spending our money, you have to be willing to go without somewhere else. So make a plan, budget, write down what you think are the most important things. Me and the other preppers out there, we tell you what we think is most important, but it's you and your family, and you know your family's needs. Write down what you think is most important, and then start writing down how much that might cost. So here's some practical ideas. If it's certain items, you can buy secondhand. I love secondhand. Even on Amazon, shop the Amazon warehouse or put the word renewed. Sometimes refurbished items, they call them renewed. They are much cheaper. They come with a warranty. But if you don't search specifically for Amazon warehouse, you might find scratch and dent or short dated items on there. Or add the word renewed, warehouse and renewed. You won't see those items in the regular search results. And if you guys know other tips and tricks for finding deals, post it in the comments. That's just one that I've happened to discover. So look for refurbished, look for used items, look at your thrift stores. I love Facebook Marketplace. Set up an alert. If you're looking for a certain thing, and you can Google how to do this, and then Amazon alerts you as soon as someone puts up something like that for sale. Really cool. And then you get dibs, right? Think about teaming up with someone. So if you know someone who's also like-minded, thinking about prepping, can you team up? Can you say, okay, I'll buy this and you buy this, and then if we need it, we'll share the things. That is a really smart way to go, especially if it's someone who you might end up living with anyway. If things get really bad and you end up really needing each other, why not start teaming up now so you don't both buy the same kinds of things? You can buy preps that complement each other because you're going to share anyway. I do recommend you start with food and water. But that doesn't have to cost as much as you think. Now for water, we talk about all these fancy water jugs and all this stuff. Those are expensive. Smart friend of mine told me that the cheapest water jug is to buy a 2-liter pop bottle. Or, whatever. A lot of drinks come in a plastic 2-liter bottle. Drink it or dump it. Clean it really well. Let it dry. Fill it with water. That is, she said after much searching, that is the cheapest water container she has ever found. And the little 2-liter bottles, they store under a bed really easily. You can also, just fill up coolers. You can get coolers at garage sales right now really cheap. Just start filling up some coolers so you have water on hand. You can treat it. You can Google or YouTube how to treat water if you're going to let it sit there for 5 years. Otherwise, every 6 months or so, dump out those 2 liters and fill them up fresh again. Really cheap water storage. For food, you probably are hearing us talk about, put it in a 5-gallon bucket. You have to buy mylar bags and all these, and a Gamma Seal lid. Those supplies cost a boatload. They do. But that's for those of us thinking like, I'm going to store this for a really long time. But honestly, what if the food shortages are in 6 months? Well, if they're in 6 months, I don't need mylar and 5-gallon buckets. So just start with this. Even if you just have $100 extra, I would get, now I'm not the expert, listen to other people too, but if I only had $100 to store up some food, I would get rice and lentils, because lentils have a lot of protein. There's a whole documentary on Amazon about lentils, an hour long. You wouldn't expect it, but it's very interesting. And they're a really amazing food with a lot of nutrition in them. And they cook much easier than every other bean. So you might see cheaper beans, but lentils have more nutrition and they cook much easier. You can get lentils for about $1 a pound at Walmart in 1-pound bags. So you're going to buy a whole bunch of them. And Walmart.com, I think, sells them for the same price. So that's $25. That'll get you 25 pounds of lentils, of protein. Then get 25 pounds of rice to go with it, which will run you between, I think, $7 and $15 for 25 pounds of rice. In fact, maybe you want double the rice. So you could have 2 scoops. So one meal might be 2 scoops of rice and 1 scoop of lentils, right? That's a good ratio. So you're up to maybe, what is that, like 40 or 50 bucks for a whole bunch of rice, a whole bunch of lentils. Make sure you have some spices on hand to sauce it up, sauces or spices or whatever you need. And I mean, I know that sounds awful, but if worse comes to worse, you have just spent 50 bucks very, very wisely. And do it twice. Now you have twice as much. And how long that lasts depends on your family size. So that's something to consider. And then what you want to do, though, and this is the part I'm struggling with too, is to actually start eating it. So work rice and lentils into your meal plan now. Start learning how to cook it. Start learning how your family likes it flavored. Start getting your family used to it, because now that you're prepping, you have to use this stuff. Now, so in that case, if you're going to start eating it now, you don't need mylar and you don't need a bucket. Just put it in your kitchen. Put it in a tote, maybe, in your kitchen, so you have some that's in a Rubbermaid container, on your counter, and the rest of the enormous bags sit in a closet in a tote. And you just curl them up with a chip clip. It's not ideal, and some other preppers are probably freaking out that I'm telling you this, but as I think about it, if you're going to use it, then just keep it close at hand. It doesn't need to be buried in a basement in mylar. So if you double it, then you have 1 tote that you're eating out of right now, and the other tote has 2 bags of rice and 25 pounds of lentils that are not yet opened. And then you just keep on rotate. So if 1 tote is empty, you pull out the other tote, and then you go shopping again to fill up the first totes. So you always have at least 1 tote full of lentils and rice and whatever spices you need to make it somewhat tasty. So, and if you have kids or you have special needs people, then you have to get something that they will eat. Okay? You have to have something they will eat. Now, I know if people get hungry enough, they'll eat anything, but your kids. So, just to encourage you, it doesn't have to be mylar in buckets. You have totes already at your house. I'm sure you have totes. Take out whatever is in those totes, because this might be more important. And the totes help keep out bugs and rodents. That's why I say put it in totes. Okay. The other thing I would recommend you do right now is to be uncomfortable and switch your family to using fabric. I just made a video and it talks about how I'm switching to things that are reusable. So stop buying Kleenex, stop buying toilet paper, paper towels. especially those kinds of things. Just start using old towels that you have on hand now for those kinds of things. Go to the Goodwill and buy some extra towels that you designate for those sorts of things, and stop buying paper. Let's say, I don't know how much you spend on paper a month. Let's say you spend $30 on paper a month. And if you have a big family who goes through a lot of toilet paper, you spend a lot more than that. Then every month you spend that $30 or $40 on more food preps. So you have more and more totes and maybe eventually buckets of food. Okay, do you see how you do that? But it requires being uncomfortable. And that then it just is determined by what you think might happen. Because you're all good parents, or whether you're taking care of kids or old people or yourself, we might value this and we might not. And I respect you if you don't value this right now. It's okay. But if you value prepping, then you might need to be uncomfortable so that you have more money. Along those same lines, can you get more money? Can you be uncomfortable and deliver pizzas 2 nights a week to earn some extra cash? That could add up to a lot of cash for preps really quick. And it's just temporary. Maybe you do it for 3 months and you use that extra side hustle money just for preps, for whatever preps you think are important. So consider it. You know, the pizza places around here are all hiring, or whatever job, So, because I don't want you to go into more debt for your preps, because we should be trying to get out of debt. So I hope I'm offering solutions where you can just redirect your money or get more money. And pray for provision. He, I don't know what he's going to do, but he loves you and he cares about you. But it's important that we take steps too and meet him there. Just like the Sabbath, this is such a beautiful example. We rest on Shabbat. We know that he's going to take care of us, but we also were obedient on Friday and we prepared. And really we prepare all week long. And then he makes it last. So isn't it cool? I've been thinking about that a lot right now, especially with the feast coming up too, those high days. We prepare and then he sustains us so that we can meet with him and worship him on those days. So I hope that this helps and encourages you that even if you're flat broke, you can hopefully do some preps, even if it's a little rice and a little lentils, because that's actually quite nutritious from what I'm learning, and can sustain you for a little while until you figure out the new whatever is going to be. So that's it. Bye, sisters.